welcome back to episode 5 of our run through of Final Fantasy VI, the T-Edition. So far, we are finding it is similar to the game as we knew it would be, but with some interesting quality of life enhancements. The difficulty being not too hard, but the noticeable one. It is a little bit more challenging. So we are, as you can see, and if you're familiar with the game, at the story split. We've taken care of Bannon's leg of this journey. In today's episode, we are going to take care of Locke's. So as a refresher, Locke has stymied the efforts of the Imperial troops in South Figaro, but now he desperately needs to escape. So Locke left the Returner's hideout, slowed down the Imperial forces of the Empire. The problem is now he's stuck in South Figaro, and we have this kind of fun little puzzle in trying to get out of the town. Oh, we got a language there. That, of course, was not in the original game. It was not in the original English version of the game. Of course, things got translated for Nintendo had these rules on family-friendly translations. Woolsey, I think his name, Ted Woolsey. So this woman tells us that the biggest houses have secret passages. We'll come to find that out. Alright, so we're going to need to get by somebody in this house, but he's not going to let just anybody by. He's only going to let merchants by. Excuse me. Grab an extra tent while we're here. We really are going to probably need some Phoenix Downs, realistically. Should be good there. You're that infamous thief, Locke. Oh, I missed the original line where he says something to the effect of, "Call me a treasure hunter or I'll rip your lungs out." So we are not actually going to beat this guy. We're going to strip him naked. Or as naked as Nintendo will allow. That's going to give us a little bit of a costume change. And of course, this grants us some flexibility in moving past the individual down these stairs, but we'd like to talk to this guy for a second. Because we're actually going to come back later to talk to him for something else. It's that kind of a puzzle. So he's going to let us through now that we're a merchant. Now, earlier in episode 3, we came through South Figaro, and I made an observation that we can't cross here. There is a hidden path that allows us to skip a couple of these steps to this puzzle. It appears that the creators of this T-Edition has filled that in, so we will have to take the long way around. Coincidentally, it has been a very long time since I took the long way around. And of course, this kid helps us to figure out we can also steal clothes from the green officers. That's right, what we're going to do. However, the only green officer that's around that we can do that from, I think it's up here. Again, it's been a very long time. There we go. So this whole little series is kind of fun. Final Fantasy, of course, you know, this is the 6th iteration of the game. They were trying to mix it up a little bit. They've always had little puzzles, but to have like this entire town that you have to escape from made it feel like this is just like a whole little segment. Oh, I forgot to set some relics on him. But he can't set that one, can he? Oh, my. That's bad. But anyways, Yeah, very innovative for the time to have a puzzle like this. Well, you know, I say that, but a game that I haven't played in many, many years, Breath of Fire 1, had something like this as well. So we'll talk to this guy, he'll leave. He goes into the pub. At this point, I have to talk to another merchant, and I believe that merchant is going to be up these stairs. But before we go up there, I'm going to pass on that right now. I might come back for some of those. I believe the second merchant is up here at the inn, right here. Ooh, yeah, the Mingaush, which I have a weapon that's better than that, but that'll be good for some money. Alright, so we are now a merchant, but we also need something from this guy. Which we could have stole his clothes too. And honestly, it would have saved this battle. Just for the fun of it. Nice change. But this one in particular, we needed to. Because we also need this. If we'll remember that gentleman that we spoke to a few moments ago at the beginning of this town, he was distraught that he had no wine, or cider, as it was in the original game. He wanted cider. Now with that, we can come all the way back over to talk to him. Excuse me. Why, yes, there is a secret passage that leads from here to the mansion. Go downstairs and tell my grandson the password. I forget what it is. Should have asked for it before I gave him the wine. The password is courage. To my knowledge, I don't think there's any hints on what that is. Normally in a situation in a game like this, you would talk to people and they would kind of give you like some hints. I don't know if that exists. You just have to guess it till you get it. So this takes us underground to underneath the mansion in town, which the soldiers have kind of turned into a headquarters, we'll find by talking to somebody in here. Yeah. So you'll notice the music stopped, and there's a good reason for that. Because there is a sound effect we have to listen for up here that's going to help us know something. So we hear it in this room right here. We'll go over to the next room, because if I remember correctly, somebody in this room tells us, hey, isn't that other room a little drafty? Oh. Wind the clock, wind the clock. Somewhere I felt like somebody said something like there was a draft in this room. Anyways, we clearly hear a draft, and we can see that this bookshelf is moved away from the wall a little bit. And sure enough, there are some stairs over here. We're going to go ahead and remove the disguise. It really doesn't matter either way. Just create some different dialogue. If we keep going straight down, we'll hit some stairs right here with some battles. These are not required. There's just some treasure chests in here. But that woman soldier is new. I'm a little scared, to be honest, given the difficulty of this game. I'm extra scared that I can't take the Spectre Hound down in 2 shots, even from the back row. Whew, I was about to say I'm gonna have to run here. So I might have to. So I believe normally it's an enemy called Commander, which just looks like that cadet that we fought earlier. These guys just have potions, okay. This is not one that's in the original game, and don't think it would have been. It looks a little risque, if you will. Of course, there were some, if you don't know the history of Final Fantasy VI, there are some sprites that actually did get censored a little bit in the original game. So some of what's being done here in the, ooh, that's gonna be good, in the T-Edition. What is that? Some of the things done here in the T-Edition are just restoring things that were, oh, that's interesting. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by the game itself. Some of the things that are in here are just restorations of things that were censored out of the original game, it seems. Alright, so we can come back up here. We're going to take a peek inside this room, even though there is not a peephole or anything like that. Apparently, Locke can just see through doors now. And Locke is going to recognize this character as a general of the Empire. And she got a costume change as well. A Magitech knight forged by the Empire and tempered in battle. No one truly knows the woman behind the general's guise. Her name is Celeste Share. We are going to spend a lot of time with Celeste in this game. She is actually, if we were to say if we had to list 3 main characters, because as we've discussed before, there is no one main character. If we had to pick 3, Celeste would make it into the top 3. We will be spending quite a bit of time with her. So Celeste is a fallen general. She has done some atrocious things in her career, but finally reached the breaking point and started to refuse taking orders, and so she has fallen. See, this is interesting because we have not played Sabine's quest. If we would have done Sabine's quest first, we would have already seen this event. So we will be seeing this event that she's talking about here. I love this bit. I can stand guard for days without sleep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh yeah. So we're going to assist Celeste. Now, Celeste has been hardened to be a general, so she is quite calloused in pretty much everything she says, thinks, and acts. But she is a good heart. I'm trying to figure out what her costume is. It's all pixelated, and it's different than the normal, like, white flowing gown over armor that she normally has. She said the magic word, "You can't protect me." So Celeste's job title is called a Rune Knight. Magic Knight, for those of you who have played Final Fantasy long enough and recognize that job class. But it's a little different since everybody can use magic in this game. So what a Rune Knight does in this case is has the ability to runic magic, and we'll see what that looks like here in a second. Let's take a look at these stats here real quick. So this Chain Whip will boost her power, stamina, and speed, but not to the extent of the sword. But of course this sword will actually draw from her MP, because she is a magic user. She's not a natural magic user like Terra was born with that ability. She was part of an experiment of certain individuals to learn how humans could learn magic. And we'll see that. Interestingly enough, it looks like she is going to be pretty close in MP or in HP to Locke. I think historically she always has a little bit more than Locke, so that's been balanced as well. So we're gonna make her our fighter here. She's gonna have Cure and Blizzard instead of Ice, which is what it normally says there. Alright, so we are all equipped up. We need to get something off of this guard, a clock key. I love that the option was stealing is wrong. You know, because we're a thief. Alright. Should be just a safe point in here. We're going to take that. So this next area in escaping, and like we did before, and create a separate one there. This next room in escaping is going to have some monsters who, in the original game, are pretty tough. We're going to be honest. So that clock works. We're going to ignore that one. This one does not work. We're going to wind it. Alright, I'm going to be upfront about this now. There are people who are far more familiar with Final Fantasy VI than I, and that's sad because this is my favorite game of all time. The last time I played this through, I found out that there's a couple of things you can get in here that I've never gotten before. They were brand new. So I was excited. But I had to look them up, and I had to play around with it, and it took a really long time to get it. I'm going to try quickly, and the reason I say quickly is because the monsters in this area are tough, and I don't want to have to mess around in here too long. And that's an example right there. Celeste is getting it taken to her. That's actually kind of normal for this area. These guys are pretty tough. And that little whip, the Hyper Wrist also equipped, might help us gain a level or two before we get out of here. So I'm going to have to think about the balance I want to achieve here. Also, we'll notice that this Chain Whip with the Hyper Wrist is doing quite a bit of damage, but it also relinquishes her of her runic ability. It goes grayed out. That's going to be helpful with her being in the front row. I noticed that Locke does not react the same way to Celeste that he did to Terra earlier, which is odd, because he saw Terra use it, and it was the first time he had ever seen magic being used. One would have to assume that he wasn't aware that the Empire was training these Magitech Knights. And so seeing Celeste use it there, you would think he would have reacted the same way. Alright, so that's the normal way out here, but there is a little, there we go, a little passage to the left right there. That's going to take us somewhere. So, by equipping Celeste with this whip, which by the way was not in the original game, this is like a new little weapon created specifically for this, and that's totally awesome. She doesn't have her runic ability. We'll show it eventually because there's actually a boss battle we'll have to fight sometime in this little episode, and using that runic ability would normally be required. We're gonna take a shortcut. Whoa. Oh, she's got plenty of MP. Okay. I can use a couple cure spells there. There we go. So there is some really awesome relics down here. If they're still here. Before, Locke had a hard time with this battle, but now that we've got a little extra help. Celeste is really taking these on the chin pretty hard. Star pendant is not what I was looking for, but it's finally something I can get Locke. Now what we really wanted was not another battle. Ooh, I was hoping that ice came out first. So it looks like one of the things they've added to this T-Edition is like a some sort of a delay or charge counter to abilities such as magic and Sabin's Blitz. And I guess that puts it in line with some of the other Final Fantasies. That's new. Not what I was expecting. I want to hold on to that for just a little bit. Should be a ribbon down here, that's what I'm looking for. Unless that golden apple is replacing the ribbon. I am getting a little bit of experience, a little bit of gold. As I've mentioned before, you know, it's therapeutic for me to just run around and grind from time to time. I am, you know, of course recording this, so this isn't just what I would consider just a normal time. That must have been the ribbon that was in that chest, but I'm just gonna... I don't think there's anything more frustrating than getting into battles at an area where you're searching for something. I may have to look it up and then come back later if there is a ribbon down here, because that's a relic we'll use the entire game. For anyone who's not familiar in the Final Fantasy series, the ribbon is an accessory that just blocks all status effects, and inevitably there's going to be one if not multiple bosses in a game that's going to be their gimmick, is just hitting you with status effects, and that ribbon is just going to be like a failsafe. Absolutely important. And actually, the reason I found out about it, I'd never stumbled on it originally. I just never did. But I was in the process of doing a different run of Final Fantasy VI recently that I had to abandon because of technical difficulties, which is becoming a recurring theme with me. But it was a solo run, so basically I could only have one character alive at any given time, and it was going to be Terra, so long as Terra was in my party. I would call it Terra's story. But in planning out the route for it, I realized that I was going to need that ribbon. So I had to look up specifically where it was. Running through these potions, I gotta remember to use Cure. Especially since I'll have a chance to... There it is. It's called a barrette. So, let's see. Blocks all ailments. Or at least it blocks those ailments. So we're going to put it on her since she's front row. We'll move the jewelry. Okay. Now we can get out of here. There really isn't anything worth note else to get in here. There's a shield we can get. The way I'm getting beat around by these guys, the shield might not be a bad idea. Now, in all seriousness and fairness, I think realistically I'd like these guys to have gained a couple levels by the end of this scenario, and they're just not gaining levels. So, I think I've said it a few times, and I think this is something I'm gonna just say is a thing now, is that the leveling up scale, graph, guide, whatever you want to call it, the amount of experience needed to get to the next level is harder and steeper in this game. And that's gonna get, ooh, that's gonna be important. But I don't know which one of these to get rid of for the earring. There we go. Excuse me. Celeste gained a level. Celeste learned Toad. Okay. That's interesting, because that was not a status effect from the original Final Fantasy VI. was one from others, but not 6. Alright, so Celeste is asking, okay, so why are you doing this? I don't even know you. I'm this disgraced general. And Locke, again, you remind me a lot of someone. What does it matter? I'm helping because I want to. So we get these little tidbits that Locke is doing what he is doing in some sort of a repentance for something that happened in his past. Alright, so this scenario will end as we head back toward Figaro through that cave. So we're just going to take a quick jaunt up to Sabin's house and heal up. Because normally, we came through this cave earlier, back in episode 3. And, or the end of episode 2, excuse me. And normally we would have taken all the treasures as we went through there. And so, if we were heading back through, it'd be a quick, quick little nothing, right? We're going to take our time going back through because we didn't get all of the treasures. Because, interestingly enough, if you don't get certain treasures until the second time through, there's different things in there. And one of those different things is a weapon that will help us get through this boss fight a little quicker. So again, as I mentioned, I am very obsessive about savings. I'll save multiple times. It's a little idiosyncrasy of mine, and I hope that you'll forgive it. You'll notice that very loud noise as we walk through the cave. We're going to wonder what that is for just a short little bit. So these monsters are punching pretty hard. Fortunately, don't have a ton of hit points. I'm trying to remember if we fought them on the way through. I feel like we did, but I feel like we were at lesser levels at the time. Would have been some pretty heavy hits. I'll have to go back and look through the footage. So it looks like, just like Terra, Celeste is taking a hit on the hit points in exchange for having a whole lot more MP. I feel like Celeste and Terra both have far more MP than they would normally have at this stage. So I think that the whip added in here as an extra weapon, only equipable by Terra and Celeste, is maybe a nod to the whips that the Summoner class uses in other Final Fantasies. Given that anyone can use magic and anyone can summon in this game, specifically Terra and Celeste as natural magic users. Celeste with quotes around natural. By that, she actually can learn spells at certain level ups. So that does put her in, at least in a class of leveling up semi-naturally. See, that X potion there would not have been there before. But that's not what we're looking for specifically. It'll be up here to the top left. Ooh, I don't recall seeing these guys before. So the, I guess what we encounter has changed in this cave on the way back through. That is also a new enhancement to the game. Normally we would have just refought the same monsters we would have fought the first time around. And one of them, notably, was fire and weak to ice. So that just kind of like cinches it that was put here specifically for you to get used to Celeste's ice spell. that either was there before. Now the other thing that, I think I've introduced it like 5 times in that, and I actually described what Runic does. It's grayed out, obviously. But if somebody casts magic, Celeste will draw it like a magnet. And so the spell will hit her, but instead of doing damage, she will absorb the MP associated with that spell. So it's kind of like Osmos, but also while attracting the spell away from the party. It requires a blade to do, which is why as the whip it's grayed out. The same thing would happen for other things she could equip, like a rod. It'd be grayed out on a rod. But this would be a boss fight where this is another opportunity to see that Runic in action. We're just kind of fighting through it. Alright, so I am a little nervous because we're about to get to this boss fight here in just a second, and I'm wondering if I should actually leave back the way I came and save it real quick, just because these guys were here before. Yeah, the damage done and the amount of hit points I have, that's where this challenge is in this game for sure. And that challenge is only going to get worse. I'm just thinking ahead of hard boss fights that I know we're going to have to encounter and what that's going to look like and feel like. We're really going to have to rely heavily on strategies. There we go. So, yes, I would be nervous for this boss fight. I still am, I'm not gonna lie. But normally there's not a Thunder Rod there. Normally it's something different. The boss that we're about to fight, yes, is weak to Thunder. But it's not merely us attacking it with an Elemental Rod that's gonna do this boss battle. And even as I say that out loud, I'm wondering if this guy's going to have more hit points and this isn't going to work like it normally does. So when you use rods... Yeah. I'll wait. Till we get there and you can see it in action. So we will not be saving, we're just going to go ahead and push on through and we'll see what happens. And hopefully we won't have another crazy surprise like we did with Ultros, although I am going to go ahead and throw a Rune Sword on. And part of me is wondering about using this on Celeste. I think we're going to save it. So tunnel armor is coming through the wall. If its magic hits us, they'll be scrubbing 2 big scorch marks off the wall. Don't worry, I'll draw its magic with my runic blade. So this is introducing the runic ability, which we'll take a look here in just a second. But you can use a rod in this game one time, it breaks. Oh, that was not what I wanted to happen. The items were not supposed to be drawn by the runic blade. We are so much in trouble. And it drew that runic, so, This is way not how I wanted this battle to go. Okay. We're gonna have to take a second and regroup here. Oh boy. Okay. So that lit 2, bolt 2, lightning 2, whatever they're gonna call it in this game, that would have knocked that guy out in one hit. Straight up. We're gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way. I'm gonna see if I can get some quick attacks in between runic. I do notice that he's using drill quite a bit, and drill can't be runic anyhow. So this is going to be a bit of a dance with this guy, unfortunately. Okay, well, you can see how much damage that does, and why runic is far more important this time around. This guy's doing a lot more damage than before. Oh boy. Yeah, okay. So I sure paid for that one, didn't I? And the problem is that I should have gone back and saved, because as we learned before, normally it would just let you keep everything you've done. This is going to take us back to the credits, which means everything I did in that cave didn't mount for anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and go back through the cave, and I'll pick this clip back up once we get to the recovery spring, and we'll try it again. Alright, welcome back everybody. So I was able to get back through the cave again. We're ready to take this for a second shot. We now know that in this game, Runic is going to draw that Thunder Rod. So we're going to make sure we don't do that. Let's give it another shot. Oh shoot, I also forgot to put the sword on Celeste, but I can do that from the item. So let's it is not gonna let us change weapons in battle. This game is just really making things a little bit more difficult for us. And yet, that did not do it in one shot. Oh boy, okay. So hopefully we're able to get this quick, or this is going to be another really bad battle. Oh, whew. Normally a Thunder Rod's enough to knock this guy out one hit. Alright, so that's Tunnel Armor. So we stole an Air Lancet, we got an Elixir, and that is it for Locke's quest. I think after that fun little scare, that is gonna be it for our video today. We have one quest left. It is the longest. It is Sabin's quest. It is the funnest, by far, don't get me wrong. It will probably be at least the majority, if not all, of 2 clips. So tune back with us again. We'll be able to get through Sabin's quest, and once that is done, the parties meet back up together for the end of what we'll call Chapter 1. But in the meantime, thanks for your viewership. like it, subscribe it, all that fun stuff. But whatever you do, have a great day.